Why, hello, everybody. Welcome to our first live session. I deeply apologize for kicking it out the first session. Had a little bit of a technical difficulty there, but here we are. So tonight, we're just going to listen to some music. We're going to chat a little bit about the old Jerkbaits. Hopefully, this is a good little test run for my audio equipment, making sure that works out pretty well. While we let people trickle in, gonna kind of just go over what we're gonna do today. First thing we're gonna do is go over some housekeeping things, specifically what's going to be going on with the channel, hitting some really cool milestones, what we're going to be doing going forward. So, and we're going to do this a little bit reverse order. Number one, I hit, I think, over 120 subscribers, which is freaking amazing because I have only been uploading videos consistently for about a month and a half now, I believe. And to be able to hit 120 like that quickly was insane. So let's really back up. So back in 2015, I started a college fishing club with my brother at Shenandoah University. My name is Thomas Aarons. As you can see from, I'm assuming if you watch any of my videos, you know who I am. But then also my brother, whose name is Billy Aarons. He's my younger brother. We formed the club early 2015, and we got to fish collegiately. That first year, we qualified for the FLW National Championship. And the next year, with that 1 year of experience under our belt, we decided to really wanted to go for it. We spent as much time on the water as humanly possible. And the first competition of the year, I think it was at Indian Lake that year, we came in second. We finished almost in every event we did that year. I think we finished either 20th or better. And we actually were ranked in the collegiate polls that year. I think we were in the top 15, if I'm not mistaken. So we were the top 15 schools in the whole country in 2016. Excuse me. And then from there, we got to go to Lake Kiwi for the FLW National Championship. And granted, this is a super small school. I had to fund and create the club completely out of my own pocket. My brother and I did everything together. The jersey you see right there, that jersey we got the second year after we had to save up a little bit of money. The first year, we bought 2 matching identical shirts from Walmart, and we used those. And I'm trying very hard, going through my parents' old stuff to try to find those old jerseys. But it was just like I think it was like some old Huck shirts. And then we Sharpied Shenandoah University on it. And then we put the pins that you had to have at the time. It was bad. It was tacky. And we were terrified the very first tournament. I remember I think it was the Chesapeake Bay, and we're showing up, and there are these colleges, and there's like 15 people in some of these teams, and they're all decked to the nines. Adrian College, West Virginia University, Virginia Tech. And we're like, good Lord. And we just come up in our boat in our tacky uniforms, and we had no confidence in ourselves compared to everybody else. But we had decent confidence in ourselves as anglers. And we cracked, I think it was a top 13 or something like that, which qualified us for the regional championship that year, which is on the Potomac River. And luckily, we did very well there. We were actually, I think, we were in 3rd or 5th place after the first day on the Potomac, and then we dropped down a little bit. And that got us to Lake Murray for the first national championship. And one question I got, was, why didn't we fish more college tournaments? 2 factors. One, we had to pay for everything. Our school was very kind of letting us have the club, but it wasn't like we had a lot of financial backing from a lot of people in the area. So it costs a lot of money to go to these college events, not the entry fees, but just to go there. So we just did the best we could and fish as many as possible. And at the time, that was really finishing the FLW circuit because it was closer. The other part of it was I didn't know about college fishing at the time until I only had 2 years of eligibility left, which was a real heartbreak because I fished constantly. I fished in high school. My brother fished in high school. My brother actually, he fished the Bassmaster Classic on the high school junior side 2 years. I think it was the Pittsburgh Classic and the first one on the not the Harris chain. They were at Lake Toho. The kids were actually on the Harris chain. So we fished a lot. we don't come from that backing, so to speak, where backing is the wrong word. We don't come from a fishy family or outdoor family like that. We were self-taught. We read In Fisherman, we read magazines. Growing up where we did, which is Northern Virginia in the DMV area of DC, we spent the first 13 years of our life basically in the city before we actually moved out to more farm country. And so that's kind of our background going into this. And then through college, we had a lot of success. And then, and then after college, myself, I took a year off. I formed a landscaping company, and with that landscaping company, it gave me time to actually go fish. And then I really wanted to I I really wanted to try fishing again. I remember I fished one BFL, and it was the same year we fished our last college tournament. Um, I didn't really I didn't really put a lot of work into it. I just hopped in. I paid the entry fee, got my butt kicked. I think it was on the Potomac River that year. I caught like one. I just my heart wasn't in it. Mentally, I was a little weirded out about that last national championship we fished. So yeah. So I didn't really was mentally in it. So I took a year off of fishing pretty much. Um, and then I think that gets us up to, what was it 2018, I believe. And it's like I wanted to see if I would actually make a go at it. So I fished the ABA Open Series. The I think it's I guess the Virginia Maryland division. The first one was on the Potomac River, and I won that one. So I won. I think it was 6 grand. I won, and then I fished the rest of them. Went down to Kerr, and I actually finished top 10 angler of the year points and got to go down to the Forest Wood Cup. Um, from there, I looked at it from a budgeting standpoint. I realized I'm not going to go to the Forest Wood Cup because I made profit um, based on all the tournaments I fished that year. I fished a lot. I fished a lot of club tournaments. I fished the ABA series, of course. I fished a couple of BFLs, and I made decent chunk of change. Um, you know, but I realized like I just unless you have the backing, there's no way you can actually go pro. Um, and so I decided landscaping wasn't for me. I went back to college. I'm getting my MBA right now at Shenandoah University. And then I'm growing the channel. And so that kind of like, I know it's a little blah, but I really just wanted to kind of tell you guys a little bit about me, a little bit about the channel. So the Aaron's Bassing, YouTube channel has been around for a long time, since 2015, but we have not consistently posted content. Hold on one second. They're saying, and this is good. If you guys can, please let me know if you can hear me okay. Let's see. Sorry about that. Technical difficulty. Apparently, people can't actually hear me okay. But yeah, just let me know if you can hear me okay. Mm-hmm. So yeah, sorry about that, guys, for pausing like that. Just there was something wrong with the audio. I just fixed it. Um, okay, yeah, sweet. Yeah, just trying to test out the audio. So anyway, getting back to it before we get into the jerk baits tonight. So first off, the channel's been around since 2015. I stopped really posting. My brother posted most of the videos, and then back in July, I basically with the MBA that I'm getting, I'm really focusing on digital media marketing. Um, I bought all the equipment, and I've been teaching myself this and understanding analytics and understand how to do video editing, so that way I could actually really figure out where I could belong in this industry, and I can just teach my knowledge. The other business that I run on the side is a teaching business for athletes, Aaron's baseball. So teaching has always been in my DNA, and so this is the ability for me to kind of give back, and really just explore the fishing opportunities that are in the area, and that's what I want to do with the channel. So the channel is going to have its name changed in the next couple of weeks, and we're rebranding a little bit. I will be creating an Aaron's Bassing page eventually, but this is going to become a media hub, hopefully for the area that I live in, which is the DMV area. Um, that includes Pennsylvania, Maryland, Virginia, and West Virginia, and that DC area. This is one of the most transient places on the planet where people drive 3 or 4 hours for a job. I mean, it's insane. So the area is pretty big that people are willing to travel around and go. And so with that, we're going to slowly change from Aaron's Bassing to either DMV Outdoors or DMV Sportsman. Um, hey, hello, Jennifer. I see you there. So we're going to be changing the name of the channel from Aaron's Bassing to DMV Outdoors or DMV Sportsman. And I'm hoping that this can become a hub to where we can get other content creators to post videos to actually help people fall in love with the outdoors, specifically fishing, and find different places to fish and also to learn how to catch fish in this area. With that said, we're also going to be starting a podcast. A podcast will be dropping in the next 2 weeks, I believe. It's going to be called DMV Outdoors, and it's basically we're just specifically fishing in this area and in that big 400 mile an hour, 400 square radius mile thing. Sorry about that. Words don't always sound good. Um, so yeah, the podcast will be dropping in about 2 weeks. We're going to have a lot of fantastic guests on, coming from college anglers, guides from Lake Anna, Smith Mountain Lake, Kerr, the Potomac River, to high school anglers, to local sticks, kayak tournaments. I really want to bring the passion of fishing to this area and make this a central hub where you can go for all your information. If you want to know what the fishing reports are, you're going to find them here. If you want advice on and tips on how to fish, that's going to be here. And we're going to do fishing adventures to highlight different areas of the country. Um, so I'm teaming up with Jake's Bait and Tackle, who is in Winchester, Virginia, and I will actually show you their little promo slide here. Hold on a second. And here it is right now. So I'm teaming up with Jake's Bait and Tackle for the podcast. And so with their help, and again, thank you so much to everybody over there for helping me with this. We are going to be bringing as much content as humanly possible to all of you when it comes to fishing, and hopefully, and maybe someday, maybe even we'll do some more hunting and hiking stuff. But right now, we're primarily going to be focusing on fishing. And I would like all of you to kind of reach out, whether it's to Jake's Bait and Tackle or to me at Aaron's Bassing. What kind of content do you want? You know, growing up when I'm in my early 30s, we did read a lot. to actually get our information, but that's no longer the case. Podcasts and YouTube and the internet have really become the biggest way to digest media, and I really feel like there's a lack of that here. And so that's hopefully what we're going to be able to do with with this crazy experiment that I'm doing. And so just kind of getting that out there to all of you. Hey guys, I see you on there. Thank you, Jennifer. Sweet. Oh, it looks good. Fantastic. Fantastic. Yay. So yeah, and then part of this tonight was actually just testing out the equipment, but then we're actually going to be getting into just a little bit of a seminar about jerkbaits. Um, testing out this equipment because we're going to be using this equipment for our podcast. It will be it will be it will be in audio form. There we go. And that'll be distributed over as many platforms as humanly possible. But then also the video portion will be posted to this channel here. We will still be doing content. I still upload content every Tuesday. The podcast will be uploaded as well. And then hopefully we'll be able to upload content a third time. And that's all coming in a couple of weeks. And again, any type of content you guys want to see, whether it's from the video how-to series that I do or in fishing adventures, let me know. The podcast that we're doing, if there's a person or a topic you'd like us to cover on the podcast, again, please let us know. You can go to jacebaitandtackle.com. You can go to them. They can send you some more information on it, or you can reach out to me. But yeah, and that's pretty much the housekeeping here. We got to 120 subscribers in 2 months. I started posting about 2 months ago consistently once I understood the algorithms and how to actually make videos. And so I tripled my channel size in a very short period of time. And that's no boast or anything like that. It's just that I was consistent with it, and I'm starting to kind of understand it a little bit more here. Hey guys, how you doing? Oh, there she is. She's in the chat now too. So let's get started today. I feel like my mic sounds really quiet for some reason. I push that in there. Sorry about that, guys. That thing is so spring loaded. So anyway, sorry about that. So let's get into it for tonight. So one of the greatest ways to actually fish and this time of year is by far it's the jerkbait. It's my favorite way to really cover water, and this is I think one of the things that really made my brother and I such a deadly weapon in the fishing world. Oh, who's just texting me now? That's my brother. Sorry about that. So one of the greatest ways to fish this winter, especially if you're doing a team tournament thing, is the jerkbait. They come in so many sizes. They come in so many colors, and it really becomes hard if you're going to be throwing these bad boys. Which one do you throw? How do you even start? I mean, you want to know how crazy I am? This is box 1 of 4. So I have 4 boxes of jerkbaits that are this big. I probably have around $4,000, maybe more in just jerkbaits alone, all different types. And I break them down into different types of boxes too. So I'm a little insane about jerkbaits. It is probably the number one way, whether it is winter, spring, summer, fall, doesn't matter, to cover water and find fish, especially if it's clear and especially if you're dealing with spots and smallmouth. It is a great way to cover water. It's a great way to find them. And if you're doing a team tournament, you need to be doing this. And this is kind of what I think really bred Billy and I's success on the trail. We created a style which, and not to be cliche with like fish the moment and all that, but once our game plan didn't work out, we could just go fish and we could go find fish very quickly. And we did that with jerk baits, generally speaking, wherever were most places we would go. Um, and so in a team situation, what you want to be focusing on is not both doing the same thing. You want to separate it out a little bit. And so I have some video here. Actually, I can show you this. All right, let me play it here. All right, so this is practice footage from my brother and I at Lake Kiwi down in South Carolina. We were pre-practicing for our last college national championship. We were fishing some rock bank. Usually, when we go to a new place, I think Matt Painrack of Bass Talk Live said it best. I think he said it's like NPR square, which is boat docks, rocks, riprap, bridges, like all that always holds fish 24/7, 7 days a week. It always holds them. So if you go anywhere new, look for rock, whether it's, riprap, rocky points, doesn't matter. Look for that. Look for docks, look for bridges. And if you find bridges with rock, you're onto something. And what you want to do when you get there and you're fishing a team tournament is have a strategy on how you're going to go down that bank. And so if you can tell right here, I'm the one that's closest to the riprap and my brother's off to the side. This bank is about a 45-degree slope angle. And if you were just watching this, you would think that we're both doing the same thing. But the devil is in the absolute details. I know in this particular one here, we were trying a bunch of different things with basically one style of bait, which is the jerk bait. I was throwing a shallower bill, silver. Let's see if I can find exactly what Billy was throwing here. And Billy was throwing this Lucky Craft, this deep pointer. And the reason was so we could figure out where those fish were. Billy was actually casting about 40 feet off the bank at an angle. And so he was looking for those fish that would be off in deeper water. 50 feet off the bank there, it was probably 35 feet deep. And then where I was fishing in that 1 to 10 foot range. And Billy was fishing a little bit deeper than me. So instead of us both throwing the same bait, I threw one that was shallow running. Billy would throw one that's a little bit deeper running. The last thing was we paralleled the bank, which is insanely important when you're trying to figure out water columns that the fish are going to be in. So what I suggest you do is get that boat almost in the mud and go right through the bank. So you could see where Billy was throwing that thing. It was way off to the side, up on this side of the boat right here. That's a clue because I went down there and I wasn't getting bit. And what that should immediately tell you by fishing this way in a team tournament, your boat positioning is important and eliminate water. We just eliminated the inside half of that riprap and that those fish were actually suspended off of the riprap in about 20 feet of water. The only way we would have known that is if you parallel it and you're fishing two different water columns at the exact same time. That was five. That was five. Billy would not do that in the tournament. I definitely would not do that. So this is a little bit later. Again, look at where Billy is. Now, the biggest key with this too is also, I personally believe if you're going to fish this way is have guys that actually fish two different style reels. I fish a reel. I train myself to reel with my left hand and Billy reels with his right hand. What's nice about this is when you set the hook, you're not going to knock them unconscious with your hook set because you usually try to separate yourselves at the right angle to where you set the hook, you're setting away from each other. But with both of us in the front of the boat, we just went down this riprap. He catches a really nice one here. Let's actually watch this. Boom. So we just eliminated a lot of water that these fish are in a specific depth with one pass. We didn't have to do many passes, just one, and we figured it out. And that is with the jerkbait again.
Another one. Fine.
The next video there. So here we are again. All right, cool. Sorry about the noise, guys. So right here, again, we're approaching another riprap bank. Now we tried to keep it the same pattern, the same idea. Billy is actually on the outside edge of this, or outside edge, I apologize. Billy's in the deeper edge. So this boat is straddling right on the drop. And so I'm on the inside part of that drop where it's shallower. Billy's on the outside edge of that drop where it's deeper. Again, we're just following that crease and heading right down it. Now, the jerk bait, and we'll get to the jerk baits in a minute. I want you to see this real quick.
Oh my God.
There it is.
Billy, that's
So I switched to a crankbait here for a reason. The break on that line, excuse me about that. It was about 6 feet and it dropped straight into 20. And so I was rooting around the bottom while Billy was fishing off the break. Now let's get to the last piece here. Perfect. Oh, sorry, guys. Oh, no, what happened? There we go. There we go. Sorry about that. All right. So this is the last little breakdown I want to do here. So basically, we're here at a point, a rocky point. Billy, again, is on the outside edge of this lip. We are throwing, in this situation, we are throwing the exact same depth baits because we dialed that in earlier in the day that they wanted something that went down a little bit deeper, but they weren't hitting it very well. So what we did is we switched colors. And so we pivoted and both of us tried a new color. That again is like that point of like with one bait, you can do so much. You can change the depth, you can change the color, you can change the sink rate, you can change the movement of that bait. And if you have two people, it's super easy. And if one, you can do it too. So just kind of keep that in mind the next time that you're in a tournament.
You got a spot. Oh,
So hopefully that helped, guys. So basically, so from a team perspective, constantly try to switch baits up, constantly try to adjust them a little bit. That'll help a lot. Fish different water depths with them. And now let's kind of get into the nitty gritty because I mean that stuff is pretty easy to kind of. It's a very subtle thing and it's easy to change. Fishing different depths at the same time, fishing different angles at the same time. You can do that in a team tournament. But now let's talk about like what I would generally do right now. So for the winter time, the fish are really keying in on the bait. And this time of year, I'm going to cover a lot of water. And I'm going to do that, with specifically the jerk bait. And this is kind of my strategy anywhere I go in the country with the jerk bait. I'm going to start with the hottest colors I can get. Okay. If they're on a blueback herring lake, I'm going to go with that Rapala, that slow wrap 11 and that nice blue color like that. I'm going to go with a Lucky Craft, this gold color, high bright color. And then I'm also going to be, where'd it go? There it is. Silver. I'm talking as chromy possible. You want that thing as bright as possible. So let's go over that again. So chrome, hot gold, blue. Those are the three colors you're going to start with. Why? I want draw. I want these fish to be drawn towards the bait. It is just like when you throw a big swim bait, especially if you got a little bit of clarity in the water, you're going to see them. So I can go through a pocket, and if I'm throwing this extremely reflective chrome in a clear lake, let's say Lake Anna, I might not hook a single one. But if there is a bass there, I will see it. And then I can make the adjustment and come back in there. And that's how I can eliminate water with these things. A lot of times I see guys, what they'll do, and this hurt us at first, you go with these super clear colors, these super duper clear looking colors. If the fish aren't dialed into this color specifically, they're not going to bite it. It doesn't have the draw power. Now, granted, this right here might not get the bite, it'll draw them. So you'd be like, Tom, well, if this might not get the bite, why not just go with this one here? It has a better catch ratio. Absolutely. But I'm not going to be able to see all the fish that are in an area. If I throw this, I might go to 7 different pockets and catch maybe, let's say 2. Great. I'm going to focus on those 2 pockets. However, there were fish in the other 3 pockets. I didn't see them though. And I understand panoptics and live forward-facing sonar, but let's say you don't have that. This is your forward-facing sonar, is to use these type of baits here. So if I'm going to get a bite out of 3 pockets out of 10 with this, but out of those 10 pockets, if I get to see fish in 5 of them, I have a better chance of coming back through there with another bait and catching them. So that's why I generally start with the hottest colors humanly possible: silver, gold, and chrome to begin with. From that point, once I mark fish and I see how they're adjusting to the bait, then I'm going to switch out colors. And that's when we're going to start going into that more neutral, realistic color form. So, number 1 up, bone. If it's cloudy, I'm going with a bone color. Always going to have a bone. This is the most, I think, neutral looking color you can actually get for a jerkbait. All manufacturers make that type of color, that sexy shad, that white stripe right there. You definitely want that in the boat with you. Next color you want is this translucent. I think it's called Elfwife, AYA. Oops, sorry, right there. I get it right there in the camera. There you go. So you can see that thing. It's super see-through, super clear. I would use this when it's sunny out and you got at least 3 feet of visibility. That's when I'm going to go with a color like this. Because again, you don't have any flash. It's very dead neutral. So if you're around them and the water's the right color, absolutely. But if you have a little bit of stain to the water, it's going to be really hard for them to find this thing. And that's, again, like, because my strike window is smaller, I'm going to start with that brighter one, but then I'm going to work down to this more neutral color if they're not hitting it correctly. And you'll know, because when a smallmouth or a largemouth or anything, when they hit this thing and they're getting it, I don't know if you can see that right there, guys. You see how that bite mark right there? If they're biting it right in that area and they're killing it, you have the right color. Perfect. Don't change colors at all. That's the color that you need. But if they're, like in the video that we just showed, if they're swiping at the back hook and they're just getting it here, or when you pull them in the boat that they're coming off, you might want to try to adjust the color a little bit. So again, just a rule of thumb, start with some hotter colors and work to a more neutral type of color. And again, just for the new people that are in chat now, sorry if I reiterate this, you're going to go with gold. I want you to go with a gold color, a chrome color, and then something like this hot blue. Start with those 3 color palettes. You're going to start with those, attract the fish, see them, know that there's fish in the area, mark those waypoints, and then go back through with a different color variation to see if you can get them and turn them from followers or nippers into hard hit biters. Now, to do this, you might think I have like 50 rods. I don't. I have 2 jerkbait rods. That's it. I'm a huge fan with all my hard baits of using a fast clip, whether it's the VMC fast clip or another type of fast clip, because then we can constantly change baits. We're going to be doing a crankbait video. I'm going to be doing a crankbait video soon. that was a key thing to our almost victory at Indian Lake, was that we just constantly changed our crankbaits and colors and sizes and depths until we got it perfectly dialed in. And you can do that with a speed clip. You're not having to retie. So I highly suggest getting yourself some speed clips for when you're jerkbait fishing, so you can quickly shuffle through them to kind of figure out what the fish want. So next part of this is the depth. Honestly, I think too much is made about that. It's not. Don't freak out about the depth of your jerkbait. 90% of the time, you're going to want to go with a short bill, because the fish usually, when they're hitting a jerkbait, they're feeding up. They're looking up in the water column, looking for bait, and so you normally want the jerkbait to actually be above their head. The only time that's not going to be an issue is the depth of the fish. So, is a great example of this was when we were fishing Lake Anna. No, not Lake Anna. I'm sorry. What the hell is the name of that lake? It was not. Was it Lake Murray? No, it was Hartwell. We were fishing Hartwell, and we were just having some fun on Lake Hartwell. And what was shocking is we were fishing this, and we could not get those fish to bite, but we could get them with the underspin, and we just didn't know why we could get them with the underspin. And Billy had the shocking revelation, was that the depth. That underspin was getting deeper to where those fish were actually holding. They couldn't see the bait, and those fish were holding, I think, about 20 feet of water in 30. And our jerkbait was only getting down about 10 feet. So even though it was still 10 feet right above their head, it wasn't enough. So when I switched to a deeper diving bait and got that thing within about 4 feet of their heads, all of a sudden we turned those fish into biters. So I would keep a couple of these on hand only when you feel like you're not getting close enough to the fish. But make sure you don't end up fishing underneath of them either, because that can really hamper you. I've seen guys that they'll start throwing this thing right here for 2 or 3 circumstances in a day, but they don't switch it out. And so all of a sudden they caught a couple on a jerkbait when they were in 20 feet of water and they needed to get down deeper to them. But they kept that same bait on and kept going down the cove, and like, I don't have any bites. There must not be fish there. No, because now you're fishing underneath of them. Never, ever, ever fish underneath of them with a jerkbait. You always want to stay above them. So that's where you want to have that bigger bill, is when you have to get down a little bit deeper, but you want to stay over top of them still. And now, the thing you guys are probably all asking about right now is that little thing right there. The bladed hook is kind of a newish deal in the jerkbait world. I really like to have this on when they're feeding on threadfin shad, or if I'm in tannic water. So that Potomac River, Oka or Floridian type of water, just to have that little bit more flash. The one pro tip I'll give you with this thing is don't put it on the back hook. When you put this thing on there, they're going to want to key in on hitting this. And if you put it on the back hook, what's going to end up happening is that fish's head, he's going to key in on that flash on the back, and you have no chance of this front hook getting him. And you can tell, I think, by this one here, if you put that little blade on this front hook, even if he swipes at this, you still have a high probability of kind of getting him with the back hook there. So put that on as a last resort. If you feel like the fish are just still not keying in on the hook specifically, or not keying in on dead center of the bait like you would prefer, go to that blade. And now we're going to get into the Shenandoah River, because I fish these things everywhere. So if I'm fishing smallmouth, I do have a few differences in my color schemes, and I just wanted to throw these out here. Number one is that fire tiger. That fire tiger right there is a fantastic way, that deep chartreuse, when you're dealing with smallmouth, they really are visual feeders, and they can have a huge range that they will come from to kill a bait, or even to look at a bait. And so always keep a chartreuse one in hand if you're actually fishing. Everyone would say stay in water, but more or less for smallmouth. I don't care if it's gin clear. I'm going to have something like this on. And I'll also have hot pink. For some reason, these two colors are it's weird. They really will check it out from a longer distance. And you know what? You can even throw this for largemouth. We did this on kiwi a little bit and to find them. And it had great drawing pattern. They wouldn't hit it, but you at least see where they are. But specifically for eating purposes, smallmouth love these colors. Now, this one, and let's see what this one is. What is it? Yep. This is the Ripstop by Rapala. This one right here is another fantastic Shenandoah River jerkbait. Now, what I like about this comparatively to, let's say, the big meaty Lucky Craft is just the size and the thickness. You're not dealing with 10-pound largemouth. You're not dealing with 4-pounders that are blowing up blueback herring. You're dealing with smallmouth that will probably, if you catch a 3-pounder, that's a great trophy, and you just need to downsize the size of it. You can even go to a trout magnet variation of the jerkbait, and I've had actually a lot of success with that. The other part of it is depth control. Generally speaking, and we'll tie back into the tackle star. Generally speaking, when I'm fishing a jerkbait, I'm usually fishing 12-pound to 10-pound fluorocarbon sunline on a medium heavy rod. And a regular, a 6 gear ratio is fine. It doesn't have to be super crazy. When I'm fishing on the Shenandoah or any kind of smallmouth river, usually you're dealing with depths between like 2 and 3 feet to maybe 6 feet, generally speaking. It doesn't get super duper deep depending on where you're at. So here's the hack. I want you to use braid, and then you're going to use a monofilament leader or a fluorocarbon leader, but I really suggest you try to use mono. And you're going to use 15 to 20-pound leader, because what that's going to help do is it's going to help get that bait to float, or it's not going to dive as deep, which is very, very important. And that'll help you get away with throwing some of your regular brand baits, like the Strike King, like the Rapala, like the Lucky Craft. And it's going to keep it up out of that water column. Colors, just gizzard shad. That's all you need. A gizzard shad for the natural color, and then the hot colors that I just showed you are some of the best colors that you can use for a jerkbait. Hook wise, let's talk about those real quick. Where are my hooks? There we go. So generally speaking, this right here is the, let me see if I can get that going. I'm sorry. The hook is so small. It's hard to actually see it. So that right there is the Mustang triple grip hook. Generally speaking, do not put those on the bait. I like a round bend for a jerkbait because you want them to be able, when they slash at that thing, they can actually get stuck. And so personally to me, the hook that I have really loved is that Aaron Martin's Finesse treble hook. I have about 1,000 packs, but they're in the boat and I forgot to bring them in. But those right there, they're sticky sharp, they're thin, and you see that round bend right there. That is really good for the swiping action. Now, I don't usually throw these on a crankbait, generally speaking, but for a jerkbait, that round bend is fantastic at being able to get them to bite. The other thing is, depending on the way you want that thing to sit, you can actually go with a bigger hook on the front side, and you can go with or closer to the head of the bait, and you can go with a smaller hook on the back side, and that'll actually change the sink and the balance point of that bait. Again, depending on the situation. This is not trying to get super duper down the rabbit hole with the jerkbaits for tonight, but just to kind of like get you started. So quick recap, then I'll see if anybody of you guys have questions, and then I'll let you guys get to your evening. Color wise, for generally speaking, for all the lakes, you're going to go with a chrome, gold, and then a hot blue as your 3 primary attracting colors. Then you're going to go with your natural rotation, like that clear AOI, and then of course the cloudy weather staple, that sexy shad bone color. Start with the hot colors, and then you can switch to the more neutral colors once you actually start finding the fish. For if you're dealing with smallmouth, or if you really are just trying to find them, go with that hot pink or that really hot yellow color. I even have one in the boat that's just, it's pure yellow. And then smaller baits in general for the Shenandoah River. Go with that smaller jerkbait. This is a great time of year for the jerkbait. Go with that smaller gizzard shed color. Braided line to a mono leader that helps actually get the bait up off the bottom a little bit more, which is good on that shallower river. And then with hooks, I suggest the Aaron Martin's Finesse treble hook. It's probably the best possible. Depth wise, keep a few deeper ones on there. If you feel like you're just not getting the fish, make sure you're not fishing underneath of them. Make sure you're fishing above them. And above them doesn't necessarily mean with a shallow jerk bait. If the fish are down in 30 feet of water, maybe they need that deeper bait to get down a little bit closer so they actually can feel it and see it correctly. And then if you're fishing a team tournament, with your partner, you guys can both fish jerk baits, but experiment. One fish a shallower diving one fish a deeper diving one. Parallel the bank, one fish closer to the bank, one fish away on that break line. That way you can really get a good flavor for the whole area and cover water. And then again, best tip I can have for you is start with hotter colors. Start with the hottest colors you feel like you can personally get away with. And that'll at least allow you to see fish that are in the area. Mark the waypoints. And then you can go back through there with more natural colors and really dial it in, because at that point, they're there. It's just switching the colors around. So I hope that all helped, guys. This is my first live stream ever with the new equipment. Hopefully it sounds pretty good. Does anybody have questions in chat? Let's see. It doesn't look. I'm going to let chat refresh real quick for a minute. Yeah. So yeah. Sorry, someone just texted me a question. Cadence. Oh, right. That's a good one about cadence. I didn't even think about that. It's if you are good at keeping beat and rhythm, then it'll be a lot easier for you to understand kind of the cadence and rhythm of the jerkbait. What I suggest you do is start with that 1, 2, 3 stop, 1, 2, 3 stop, 1, 2 stop, 1, 2 stop, 1, 2, 3 stop, and try to keep it in your head like that. Time wise, once you get it down into the zone, think about counting Mississippis. I would say go 1, 2, 3, and then count in your head 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, and then move it again. 1, 2, 3, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, go again. The longer you can pause emotionally and spiritually, if you can hold it for a minute to 2 minutes, you can 100% have success with it. If I have to wait that long to get a bite with a jerkbait, I'm probably switching to a different approach. So I try to keep my cadence a little bit faster than normal. My brother can slow down and do that. I personally can't. And that's a more of a philosophical thing that, if I have to wait 2 minutes on a pause to actually make the bait work, maybe I should be fishing something else. Is there a better way to actually catch them? But generally speaking, yeah, go 3, 4 seconds and then rip it again, and then go to 10 seconds, rip it again. Generally speaking, keep the same rhythm for about 3 or 4 casts and see what happens. Then switch it up. If you're switching it up every other time, that's going to be hard to keep straight in your head and for you to remember what that rhythm was when you were doing it. So just, yeah, definitely just experiment with it. Generally speaking, don't just rip it back to the boat as fast as humanly possible. Get a good cadence, 3 to 4 pulls, stop, and then go from there. Let's get another question. See, we have another question here. Anybody else in chat have a question? Sweet. All right. Well, guys, yep. So this was our first live stream ever about jerkbait fishing this time of year. Again, we have a podcast coming out. Episodes will be dropping here in the next couple of weeks. Thanks to Jake's Bait and Tackle. We're going to be trying to push out even more content as this thing progresses. thank you guys so much for everything. And yeah, stay tuned. More to come.